He has not forgot about that lineage. Scattered, dispersed, called Negro, called nigger, called bywords and proverbs, sent to the four corners of the earth, mixed in, Hellenized, sausage, egg, and cheese biscuits, pork chops, running in Coliseum games, shooting each other on the street, gang violence, bloods, crips, homicide rate, poor health, leading in cardiovascular disease. Y'all said I ain't forgot about my people. The nations may forget, but I ain't gonna forget. I ain't gonna forget about the transatlantic. I ain't gonna forget about Alligator Bay. I ain't gonna forget about Willie Lynch and lynched Negroes and pickaninnies. I ain't gonna forget. And that's the power of a living God that took a book that was always ours and made the enemy think, oh, this is for everybody. Just so he could get that book to the four corners of the earth, so that when he woke up the remnant of his people that was scattered because of their disobedience, he could wake them up with a snap of his finger. That's the love we're going to talk about in this video, y'all.
What group of people have gone through the full extent of this terror, servitude, yoke of iron, a nation with an ego image, immigrants coming in after them rising up and getting reparation offers, their kids being sold into captivity, you having kids but not enjoying them because they splitting up families, you betrothing a wife but another man laying with her. Y'all gotta look at the power of a prophecy prophesied thousands of years ago. Moses was a bad man, but even more bad than Moses was the Most High Yah, the dreadful and terrible Almighty Creator, who prophesied every lick of this on our black behinds, and it came to pass without fail. Now let's look at verse 68. Right? Now look at these. I'm telling you, I gotta show y'all. A picture speaks 1,000 words. Just look for yourself. And this is the creme de la creme. All praises be to the Most High Yah. Everything we've been through, y'all, the Most High is going to retribute it on all the nations that have had a hand in the oppression of his apple, the apple of his eye, his chosen people, his beloved, his fervent lover, his only begotten. They're going to have their part in the lake of fire. You see them tormented by some kind of creature. I don't even know what that even is, y'all. Judgment, in chains. He that led into captivity shall go into captivity. All praise to the Most High Yah.
Fallout, smoke, women crying for their sons because their sons are not. Romans killing riotous groups that are rising up. Free Judea, free our people, autonomy for Israel. You had Herod, an Edomite, and his dynasty. Herod's ruling, killing any potential threat, any potential Messiah. Then you had the Pharisees and the Sadducees that we learned from Josephus are not Jews by birth. No.
What's up, Zion Dynasty? This is your favorite dreaded Israelite, the man, the myth, and the legend, Mr. JB Zion. You already know what to do. Show me some love, show me some love. And y'all, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Zion Dynasty family, where your boy is back in the flesh, in the fringed up flesh, about to hit y'all with another. Banger. All glory, honor, dominion, power to the mighty one of Jacob, the restorer of the 12 tribes of Israel, the redeemer of the dry bones of Ezekiel, he that wouldn't let his firstborn die, he that wouldn't let his family die, he that protected his bride and said that I will not let this be the end of the story. All glory to our faithful, loving Yah Elohim Alahayim, the Most High Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. And I want to send peace, love, favor, protection, blessings on every Israelite brother, every Israelite king, every Israelite sister, every Israelite queen. We could not do this without y'all. Y'all mean everything to me, Shawnee D, the channel. This is for y'all. This is your history. And guess what, Zion? We got next. Yoruba B'nai Ephraim of the tribe of Joseph, but not just my Israelite family. Each and every Gentile, I want to send a warm peace, love, blessings, Israelite power to you as well. Because without y'all support, y'all also help keep this work going. You keep us motivated. Y'all comment, y'all prophesy, y'all donate, and I could not do this without y'all. And y'all, I'm gonna do something different on this video. Everybody that's on here that you might be on here trying to spy out.
Let's see what the Israelite talking about. Well, you know, Israel done away with, whosoever will, let them come.
I love each and every one of y'all. especially my people, each and every one of y'all, I pray for y'all. I pray that you realize the power in aligning with those that are restoring y'all's special family. That Abraham, he told Abraham, he said, I will bless those that bless you, and I will curse those that curse you. And I pray that everybody under the sound of my voice lines up and gets on the Lord's side. Yes! Gets on the Most High God's side to resurrect his family. Because y'all, in today's video, we are about to deal with it. So before we go in, y'all, your boy ready to preach. I want y'all to like this video up, comment, share, subscribe. I'm gonna put that Cash App on the screen. If you guys want to donate, y'all donations help us in ways you have no idea, and puts us in a position to be able to live our lives in this research and Torah and archaeology and DNA and old bones and history and in the scriptures, and allowing the Most High to download his revelation from on high so that I can feed the flock of the Most High, y'all. I thank each and every one of y'all, and we're gonna get into it, y'all. So y'all, this is like a piggyback of the New Testament video. If people have been loving on that video, y'all check that video out, where we dealt with the concept of, has the Most High Yah, has he divorced his chosen family? Has he turned his back on Israel because our forefathers failed, because our forefathers fell away from the contractual agreement that the Most High Yah, creator of heaven and earth, made with our forefathers? But because we fell short, because we didn't keep our end of the bargain, now he has gone to another people. Now he's gone to Becky and Sally and the Europeans and Moab and the Asians, and all of these other people have replaced the special place that the Most High had his chosen people in, Israel, as the apple of his eye, a nation set above all nations. That because we fluked, that's the end of the story. That the Most High has turned his back on Zion. Y'all understand, there are people that perpetuate this madness under the guise of white Jesus, a man of who never existed on the face of planet Earth, a white stringy hair, and I'm going to deal with it, because the Most High says any spirit, right, that denies that Yahushua came in the flesh is the spirit of Antichrist.
Well, JB, we ain't saying he didn't came. We just saying he was rainbow. He came for all colors. Don't nobody really know what he looked like.
Any spirit, y'all watch this, family, that talks like that, it's the spirit of the beast. And I'm telling you, go ahead and keep it straight, because the Most High chose a specific lineage by which his Mashiach will come into the earth. And any person that nitpicks and says,
well, that part don't matter, you know, Judah don't matter if he came from out of Judah, and if he was an Israelite with woolly hair and a beard and he had bronze colored skin, none of that matters.
Anybody that changes the way the Father above chose to send his son is the devil the Bible speaks of. And a lot of these, under the guise of that already foundational lie, will come and say,
hey, well, you know, whosoever will, let him come.
Now this, we gonna deal with all that in the video. I'm telling y'all, we gonna deal with whosoever shall call upon the name shall be saved. We're gonna deal with John chapter 1, where it talked about, you know, he came to his own and his own received him not. We gonna deal again with John 3:16. Y'all, I keep hemming that thing up, and y'all trying to apply SeaWorld to Mufasa. We gonna deal with for God so loved the world, because I gotta let y'all know that love wins in the end. Yes! That the Most High ain't never turned his back on his people, family. No matter what Israel did, the Most High is the ultimate lover. He's the fervent lover. He said that I swore by the sun, I swore by the moon, I swore by the sea, I swore by the waves that roar, that I would never give up on my people. And that book, the history book, the heritage of our forefathers, is an eternal testament that the Most High says that I'm going to renew that thing. I'm going to make a new covenant with my people. Despite what they did, I'm going to grab the prostitute and the spirit that our stiff-necked people that we are. That's who we are. Y'all just own it. We are that kind of people. The Most High deliver us from one thing. He'll save us out of this thing, and we'll find a way. We're going right back to the thing that snared us. We all do it, y'all. But the faithfulness of our Father is that I'm never going to give up on my children. And any Gentile that's listening that wants to be a part of this family, but tells the Father that, well, you don't have to deal with those kids no more. You know, just deal with me. You the devil, and you will get boom tuned out the house, because the Most High Yah does not play that thing. Because the love that you want to be a part of is testament and epitomized in Israel. You should want a father that loves his children thick and thin. That's the family that you're saying you want to be a part of. So y'all, we gonna deal with it. First, I'm gonna review a little bit about that New Testament video and about is the law done away with, because I'm gonna tell y'all, Zion, stay encouraged. Every time, I gotta tell y'all, we just coming off of Peshat, me and my wife, Shawnee D and kids.
It's a beautiful thing, y'all. When you got your fringes on, and some of our outfits just coming in, y'all. I wore this on a video just to kind of see. We're gonna take some Passover pictures and that kind of thing. But I just, and my baby girls, y'all gotta see that. She got a beautiful Ephraim little get up. I'm gonna show that to y'all. I'm gonna have some pictures. But it's a beautiful thing, y'all, to keep our culture. It's not a list of do's and don'ts. Oh, y'all legalists. These same Negroes that say,
oh no, that's bondage. People in bondage trying to keep laws.
As if you ain't gonna pay your taxes. As if y'all got to understand the hypocrisy. You're gonna render unto Caesar what is Caesar's, but render unto your father what is your father's. He said that after you done ate good, after you living all comfortable, just remember y'all. That's what the tithe was in the Old Testament. He said after you done got all the land, got your crops, just take a portion and give it to that there be meat in the house for the priest. Just remember me a little bit. The Most High ain't asking for everything. He's asking for a grateful child that says, okay, I can honor the Sabbath. You know, that ain't hard. I'm gonna go to church on Sunday anyway. You're gonna have a holy day anyway. You're gonna celebrate Easter baskets anyway. Why not Passover? You're gonna pick that Christmas tree up. Why not Feast of Dedication? Y'all better talk to me. But it's a rebellious people that our people have always been, that the Most High says, I'm gonna show you your own hypocrisy. You're going to end up worshiping everything white folks tell you to do. Every cultured sacrament that the white folks tell you to do, you're going to be the first one to do it. And this is how Satan shows you you ain't free. Oh, they think they free. You're going to serve somebody. And Satan just wants him to be the object of your obsession by worshiping fallen deities and Ishtar and all that stuff, and cutting a tree down and worshiping some old ancient pagan spirits. That's what Satan wants you to do. He says that you're going to give your time and energy to something. He just wants to be the object. And the Most High is saying the way you get ahead of that is let me be the object. These folks that say that they love the Most High, but I'm telling y'all, your boy fired up. So first we're going to do a review. I'm going to show you that from the beginning of time, the purpose of the Most High was to take Israel and exalt them above all nations and to use them as a light unto all nations. The gospel, the good news was that even though we fell short, the Messiah would come, restore us as a nation, get us back to the land of Israel, and raise us up even in captivity. That's why you see your boy with your fringes on. A lot of y'all were keeping Passover, and I love my Israelite family. Y'all get on here asking different questions and that kind of thing about the yeast and about, well, can we do a fast together? Y'all are awesome, right? And the Most High is pleased with that thing. Like when we were sitting down keeping the Passover feast, it was amazing. I had my shoes on and everything, and we eating. And I told Shawnee D, I was like, the chariots could come at any moment. And I'm just looking out the window and stuff. And you gotta know that a father looking from heaven like, this Negro got shoes on. He's eating, prepared to leave Babylon at any moment. That's faith, y'all. The Most High don't want to get, I got to tell, and I told my wife, I love Shawnee D because I told you, I asked the Most High, I said, before you give me a spouse, I want to know that she's with me regardless of where I'm at. Right? At the time, I was trying to figure out what I was going to do. I was in medical school one minute. I was about to pastor this massive church the other minute, and I was just trying to figure it out. Long story short, she was with me through it all, y'all. I'm telling y'all. So then when the Most High started elevating your boy, I know she's with me. That's the kind of faith that the Most High is looking in his children. He said, I want y'all to have your shoes on, ready for them chariots to come, so the Most High can brag on his people. He said, look how faithful they are. They know that their daddy gonna come get them. That's faith, y'all. That's why we keep our culture. That's why we keep the Sabbath. That's why we don't eat. And to all y'all about the pork thing, I got to deal with that. Y'all, there's turkey bacon, turkey sausage, turkey, just about burgers, anything you can think of. Now, me and Shawnee D, I'm gonna do videos on this stuff, y'all. I'm just kind of throwing nuggets out. We've been doing this probably about 3-4 years, maybe longer, maybe 5, but we haven't been eating pork. And initially it was hell. So I want to encourage every Israelite that's learning this history, that's learning how do I get involved? Take it one step at a time, you know? And it's not about you're gonna fall short and that kind of thing. Just get yourself back up. You make a mistake, the Most High already paid for that. You already know how Yahusha already paid for all of that. It's about, as a humble kid, getting better, getting back up. You're gonna make mistakes. Each Passover, we've grown, family. Because I didn't know that yeast is in everything. Y'all, I didn't just now started this past Passover. We was looking through everything. It was like, is yeast in it? Is yeast in? And y'all, also with the pork, check your Salisbury steaks, because Banquet and Michelinas and some of these companies, they put pork in those meats. So you got to read the instructions, but it's a process, y'all. It's a growing process. So first, family, we're going to go through precepts to show you that the commandments is not done away with. The Most High ain't forgot about that. I'm going to go to Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 10, that says that that's here the conclusion of the matter.
to fear God and keep his commandments, to fear the Most High Yah and to keep his commandments. This is the whole duty of man. Y'all gotta watch this. So the whole duty of man is to fear. Now this is Solomon talking, the wisest man that ever lived outside of Yahushua, because Yahushua the man. But Solomon was the wisest man in history up to that moment, the richest man going in the past and in the future. There was no king like Solomon before or after in terms of wealth, riches, wisdom, all these things, right? Because we still haven't got back to the kingdom and got established yet. So Solomon was the epitome of all that. All the 12 tribes was united. He was that king. He had the wealth of the nations, all that stuff. And he said that in all his wisdom, the conclusion of the thing is to fear the Most High Yah and keep his commandments. Now let's go into that. So all the Christians that say,
well, you know, Christ did away with it.
In Matthew chapter 5, verse 17, he says, think not that I have come to do away with the holy oracle of the Most High Yah, his eternal purpose, but I have come to fulfill it in my life. Everything that Yahushua did was the epitome of Torah, not for us as followers to just look at him as some Superman. Well,
oh, that's pretty cool. You know, nobody can be like Yeshua.
No, Israelite. Yeshua was to embody the example by which every Israelite man, woman, boy, and girl would live in himself. He was an example.
Well, no, JB, that ain't right. Ain't nobody like Yeshua now. Ain't nobody with keeping the commandments.
Now, we already went through this now. I showed you guys that in the book of Job, chapter 1, verse 1, it says, now Job was a righteous man and upright that feared the Most High and turned away from evil, right? He was perfect. We read that in Job chapter 1, verse 1. Not just him, but we looked at Luke chapter 1, verse 6 about Zechariah the high priest and his wife Miriam. Y'all understand that they were flawless. With regard to keeping the commandments, they was without blame, without blemish, keeping the laws. Whoa! Israel was doing that thing. So Yeshua said, y'all should already know. I'm showing you that example all the way to the point of death. I'm going to lay down my life when I could have caused a revolution. I could have brought down the chariots. I could have raised up freedom fighters that you didn't know about in the mountains. I could have did all this, but I laid that thing down. That was Yahushua's purpose. And there was no other person that had the power to do that, to lay down their life and pick that thing back up. But Israel already knew they were supposed to be keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. So to all y'all people out here, I got to deal with you that say you are following Yahushua, but you don't keep the Feast of Dedication or Hanukkah. In John chapter 10, verse 22, it says that Yahushua kept the Feast of Dedication. In Luke, we read about Mary and Joseph keeping Passover. We see in Matthew 26, verse 2. We saw in John chapter 19. We saw in Luke chapter 22 that Yahushua himself was that Passover lamb. Died on Passover Wednesday, resurrected on the weekly Sabbath on Saturday. So he is the Sabbath, the Lord thereof, and he is the Passover. So that's why we see in 1 Corinthians 5, verse 7, I'm going to deal with it, where Paul said, let us keep the feast in the remembrance of Yahushua. And let's get rid of all that leaven. So y'all got to understand, the early church were Israelites. The Greeks didn't steal our culture into the Council of Nicaea with them Romans. So the early historical church were Israelites that had faith that Yahushua would regather all of Israel, take us back to the land, restore our culture and our Eastern African way of life, and use us as a light above all nations. So the early church, they kept the Feast of Pesach. They did not keep no Easter bunnies. That wasn't until Constantine I in the Council of Nicaea in 325, where he gathered the popes and the bishops and the cardinals and created a weaponized mark of the beast version of Christianity that altered the Hebraic, Judaistic, African sentiment and replaced it with a Western European Roman articulants and used that to dominate and subjugate the world. But that book, I'm telling y'all, was an African, Judean, Hebraic culture and way of life for our family, the children of Israel. Yoruba, B'nai Ephraim. So the commandments ain't done away with. We seen Solomon say it. We seen that Job was perfect. We also saw, y'all gotta understand, we saw that Zechariah and Elizabeth, the high priest, these are the parents of John the Baptist, were flawless. Y'all gotta understand, I'm gonna drop a secret for y'all. Noah, we talk about the animals going to the ark 2 by 2. Those were the unclean animals. The Most High also told Noah to take 7s of the clean animals. Now, how did Noah know about the clean versus the unclean if the law wasn't given to Moses? We got to deal with this. The law was the eternal way of the Most High Yah. The Bible says In Psalms 19 verse 7, that the law is holy, converting the soul, that the law is synonymous with the nature of the Most High Yah. He gave an aspect of himself to the children of Israel via Moshe Hanavi for us to guard and teach our kids our history, teach our kids that we don't touch that pork, teach our kids our statutes and commandments as a way of life perpetually. So how did Noah know about the clean and unclean? This went all the way back to creation. To all y'all Christians that think that Israelites created the laws.
Oh, Moses made that up. You know, that was a foreshadowing of Christ at the very best.
Oh, no, at the very best. The law, statutes, and commandments is the very nature of Yah Elohim Alahayim. Y'all hear me? Oh, man, I just be feeling this thing. The Most High's nature is the law, statutes, commandments. He rested on the seventh day back in Genesis chapter 2. So this was always consistent and in compliance with the person of the invisible creator. He made that concrete through the lifestyle of the children of Israel. And we are to guard that thing relentlessly, both now, forever, and always, right? So we got to deal with that. The whole commandments thing, it's not done away with.
Well, you know, JB, okay, Israel meant to do that, but in the new covenant, you know, all that's done away with, you know, Christ came for everybody.
I'm going to rehash that a little bit about this whole Christ came for everybody. Christ just moved his love. The love of the Father just left Israel and went to everybody else. I showed y'all in Jeremiah chapter 31 that every time you see the sun, the moon, the stars, the waves roaring and the strength thereof, this was an eternal indictment against all of creation, that the Most High for his name's sake would always remember the seed of Israel and use them as a nation above all nations. We see that not just was they going to exist, well, we know y'all going to exist. No, they're going to get back to that land. That's what Jeremiah 31 says. And also in Jeremiah 31:31, it says, behold, in those days, I will make a new covenant with the house of Yasharal and the house of Yahudah. What is that saying? The new covenant was for Israel. This is piggybacked. And Hebrews 8:8, I got to tell y'all these things. Hebrews 8:8, it says, in those days, it's quoting Jeremiah, I will make a new covenant with the house of Yasharal and the house of Yahudah. That means the new covenant was for Israel.
Well, what about the heathen Gentiles, not them Hellenized? You say Christ only came for the lost sheep.
Yeah, because in Matthew chapter 15, verse 24, the red letter man himself says, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. In Matthew 1:21, and family, y'all write this stuff down. That's why I go through these precepts. In Matthew 1:21, it says, the angel told Mary, you shall name him Yahusha, for he shall save his people from their sins. His people, y'all understand. Matthew 2:6 says, O Bethlehem, though you be the smallest territory within the province of Judea, yet out of these shall come the governor that shall rule my people Israel. In Luke chapter 1 verse 68 through 72, it says, blessed be the Lord God of Israel for visiting and redeeming his people, that we, the children of Israel, might serve our Yah Elohim without fear of yeast in our food, without fear of if I got my fringes on, y'all gonna think I'm crazy, without fear of if I got my kufi on, they got my beard and my dress, they gonna discriminate against me on my job, without fear of going to McDonald's and having to look at everything they got on the menu because it violates every part of Torah, without fear that if I keep the feast days, the Bible says I'm supposed to be off, but Babylon ain't gonna let me, but they gonna let me off for Christmas. Oh my goodness! Without fear that Easter, they're going to acknowledge Good Friday, but we know that he died on Passover, but the Roman Catholic Church said we're going to do away with that. Without fear. That was the gospel. I'm going to allow Israel to keep their laws, statutes, commandments, and culture and freedom, y'all. We're going to go back to that land because in Babylon, I got to admit, there are constraints on us fully applying Torah. There is a lot of things like tithe of the first fruit of the crops, where if you don't got no land, you can't do some of this stuff. And I acknowledge that even your fabric is not supposed to be mixed fabric. We understand, family. This is a dress rehearsal. But like I told y'all, any father looking down from heaven and said, man, my kid's trying to what now? Look, he got his shoes on. He think you gonna come send the chariots and take him home. He got that kind of faith. It's a faith walk, y'all. It's to let Yahweh know we gonna do everything we can, Father, to do what you told us to do. Now, we gonna deal with that. We're gonna deal with Yeshua and show you that he didn't come to do away with the commandments. Now, in John chapter 14, verse 15, Yahushua himself says, if you love me, you will keep my commandments. What does that mean? Yeshua did not come with no new commandments.
Oh, you know, well, Jesus, now we got to check it right there, JP. Jesus came to give different commandments than what they were doing them Jews in the Old Testament. All he said was love God and love your neighbor.
Now y'all got to understand, in Deuteronomy, Moses, come on, Jake, in Deuteronomy, Moses had already told them to love the Most High Yah with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. Yeshua said that in the New Testament. He did not make that up. Everything that the red letter man, Yahushua, the embodiment of the invisible Yah Elohim, he was to remind Israel of who they were. And that was the purpose of the Messiah coming, to say, what I'm doing, this is what y'all supposed to be doing. Oh, what you, now that's blasphemy. JB, ain't nobody like Jesus. Well, ain't nobody walked on water either. Yeah, that's right, JB. Oh no, Peter did. Wait, what? Will you go back to Peter? Oh my. When Peter looked at Yahushua, he was doing the same thing he did. Yahushua himself said, the works that I do, greater works shall you do. Yahushua never made him the same as the Father. He said, I am a son, I am a servant, and what I do, the cross that I take on my back, that's what I want my people to do. So we gonna deal with it. So in John 14:15, he says, if you love me, keep my commandments. Whose commandments? He had no people except for the people that the Father had given him. So the commandments that he was talking about was the commandments back during Moses' time. The Most High ain't never divorced his people. I got to deal with it, y'all. Because a lot of these Christians say Israel's done away with, our culture's done away with. We see that the gospel was for Israel. Christ was going to the lost sheep. He was going to the diaspora. In John chapter 7 verse 35, it says, where shall he go that we can't find him? Shall he go to the dispersed of the Gentiles and teach those Gentiles? Not just that, but we saw in John chapter 11, verses 47 through 52, that the Pharisees knew that Yeshua would die, not just for the Judean Israelites, but the scattered children abroad. In Tobit chapter 13, verse 3, it says, preach us among us Gentiles, O children of Israel, for the Most High our Father has scattered us among them. So Tobit knew even back then that Israel had been scattered. They had been Hellenized. We see this pick up during the time of the Greeks, during the Maccabean era, where they were making it illegal for any Jew to call himself a Jew. It was illegal for you to have your locks and your beard and say you don't eat pork and have clean clothes on for the Shabbat. All of that was illegal. So they made our forefathers adopt Greco-Roman gods, Zeus and the like, wherewith in generations to come, we lost our heritage. So now we're trapped in this perpetual cycle where we can't turn back to the commandments, which makes us have to receive the penalty and keeps us trapped in the cycle of his judgment unless somebody intervenes. Oh my God. And that's what the Mashiach did. Yeshua said that my life and my death would be so powerful that they would take my life and they would spread it to Gentiles. But this is chess, not checkers, because this is the grace package that I wanted them to do. I wanted them to take my immunity and spread it to all of my community that was dispersed, so that when I woke up, that is my father woke up my children, they would have the Bible in every country. Chess, not checkers, Negro. Yeshua in his wisdom came to be able to turn us back to who we were, that we might awaken and turn back to the law, statutes, and commandments. Any Negro, I love y'all. I'm telling you, even the ones that's coming against this movement, I pray for y'all, because you're coming against something that you know not. And you need to have a certain level of humility. Y'all, all my life I've been a learner. I've been going to school, medical school, biblical school, ordination, license, all these things. And you have to be a thinker to learn. Whenever you puff yourself up and say that, oh no, I ain't even gonna listen to what they're saying, you cut yourself off from the ability to grow. The day that you think you know everything is the day that you stop living. And all you're doing is a ticking time bomb to the grave, because you stopped yourself having the ability to grow. I'm telling y'all, when y'all dealing with this history, this is a 1,000-year curse that's being lit. Y'all, you got a people that went from calling themselves, oh, I'm black, I'm black and I'm proud, to now they saying they Judah. Now you got your boy JB saying Yaruba, but not Ephraim. There is no way on earth that this should be going on. Let's go. Unless the God in heaven is doing that thing. So all of y'all that's coming against this thing, you braver than I am. And unless you just sat down and looked at the Yoruba of Nigeria, looked at the Igbo, look at the Akan, look at the Ashanti, look at the Limba, look at the Maghrebi and Moroccan Ha'afrati families, the Israelites dispersed in the continent, unless you didn't dealt with that, unless you didn't dealt with Josephus that said that over 600,000 went into Africa. Dr. Tudor Parfit says that the Jews of Africa, Harvard, you got Oxford, Edith Bruder talking about the Jews in Africa. You got Dr. Rudolph R. Windsor talking about over 1 million fled into Africa in 70. Unless you're going to deal with each and every strand of the scholarship, I would humble myself, Brad. I would check myself. Let's I'm telling you now. And all my Israelites, it is not pride. Pride is when you out here living and ain't trying to please God. That's pride. Pride is putting up a Christmas tree, because that ain't in the Bible. It takes pride to step out here and do your own thing and not do what your daddy told you to do. But pride is not being obedient to my father. That's righteous zeal. Yoruba. Me calling myself as an Ephraimite is calling me what my daddy called me. That ain't pride, that's humility. Humility is doing your father's will and saying you are who he said you. I got to preach tonight, y'all. Ooh, I think it's the fringes. Shout out to Shani D, my lovely queen, boy. She picked this out for you. But ooh, I've been on 10 lately, Jay. So our culture is not done away with. The gospel was for Israel. The commandments is the very nature of the Most High Yah. That ain't done away with. Everything that we Israelites talking about is Bible prophecy fulfilling itself, because he said, in the nations that I scattered you in, I will raise you up exceeding great army. Oh my goodness, man. And there's nothing the nations can do about it. Ain't no hater, ain't no family member or no friend that misconstrue your very motives. Ain't none of them can stop this thing, y'all. I got to tell y'all. So now let's go back to these scriptures. Now we see that Yeshua said, if you love me, you'll keep my commandments, which is me doing my daddy will. If you follow me, you'll see I keep the feast of dedication. The woman that touched the hem of Christ's garment, if you look at that word hem in the Hebrew or in the Greek, it's talit. It's fringe. She touched the fringes and was healed. So to all y'all saying, well, you know, fringes, you know what that's about. About creating solidarity within Israel. But not just that. We read in the book of Numbers that every time we look at these things, we remember to keep our Torah. Keep the law, statute, and certain power that comes with wearing what God told you to. And to all of y'all that got to criticize, well, what about eating pork? You know, what? That's the same spirit that Satan came to Eve and said, well, you can eat anything you want. You know, he don't want you to be like God anyway. Man, you can do what you want to do. When you start questioning what your daddy told you, he said don't eat of this tree. He don't have to prove the science by which that the pig internally perspires and that it's an unclean animal. I don't have to prove that to you as your father, but you gotta trust it. But now we see the science corroborating. We see that stuff ain't good for you, right? Even with your beard, it keeps your skin from breaking out, it protects your skin and all these things. But the Most High ain't asking for him to have to prove himself to his children before they're obedient. So that's for y'all Christians as well. So we see that Solomon says that the duty of man is to fear the Most High Yah and to keep his commandments. This is the wisest man that lived in Ecclesiastes. Yahushua says, if you love me, you will keep my commandments. We see in John 10:22, he kept the feast of dedication. Not just that, but we also see that Christ was the Passover. He rose on the Sabbath, that Paul said, therefore let us keep the feast. We see that Peter and James, and we know all of them kept the statutes, right? The law of the Most High Yah is not done away with. It's his nature. We saw that Noah himself knew about the clean and the unclean animals before Moses instituted the law. And the Sabbath was already instituted back in Genesis 2 when the Most High himself rested on it. All these commandments that these Christians are saying, well, you know, that's fulfilled in Christ. You know, it was for Christ to do it and that's it. Like I told y'all, Christ is not some superhero that you put on your poster on a door for you to admire. He said, let he that follows me, let him take up his cross and follow after me. The works that you do is supposed to be greater than what Yahushua did. We supposed to be following his example. That's what the word Christian means. But yet y'all say, well, y'all Israelites, man, that's a cult. How is an ethnicity a cult, first of all? Second of all, we just doing what our daddy told us to do, which you say you a Christian, so you supposed to be doing it too. Oh, well, you know, can't nobody be perfect, but you're supposed to strive for it. The Bible says a righteous man falls 7 times, but gets back up. What's the difference between a man falling 100 times and you not falling at all? You didn't try. I'm just gonna tell you, right? You can never succeed unless you first try to do something. Yeah, you're gonna fall. Yeah, you're gonna fall short. Our family, I done already told y'all, each year we've gotten better with the Passover, learning more and more things to look at yeast and all these things. It's a heart issue that I love my daddy and I'm gonna do what he told me to do. So with that, y'all, this is the first part of our Torah series, where I'm gonna be going through these things. I'm gonna deal some more with the dietary law, deal with the fish with the scales versus without the scales, tilapia and catfish, and I'm gonna deal with tilapia. I'm not saying that that's unclean, but we're gonna deal with all that. I'm gonna do a dietary series. We're gonna deal with these holidays. We're gonna deal with that Christmas tree and St. Patrick's and Nick's and all the rest of these days. We're gonna deal with that and any other questions y'all want about fringes and about how to do certain things on the Sabbath and yeast and just all these things, y'all. We're gonna be dealing with it. So y'all, it's just getting started. So I hope y'all learned something, and I hope I encouraged y'all, Zion. Don't let anybody talk you out of your culture when every other people have one, and they want to give us late. They want to give us CP time and fried chicken that ain't good for you. They want to say that that's who we are. Who you are is who your forefathers was. Giving back to the thing that gave you life is the people that gave you this nose. And those tribes that we came from in West Africa, y'all hear me, were Israelites. To this day, they have naming ceremonies. Shout out to Brother Go Black to Africa, because he did a video where he was in Ghana and they did a naming ceremony. He found out he was an Israelite. All praises for that brother. I love that brother, right? And I love when my people find this stuff out, y'all. So them folks in Africa, they was Israelites. The Yoruba, the Igbo. So when we turn back to our true culture, and I ain't talking about American Negro project mindset, but turning back to who we are is turning back to Torah. So I love y'all. Y'all be blessed, be encouraged. Don't let anybody talk you out of your birthright. You are the gods of this earth, and Esau's kingdom coming to the end. And we got next, Yoruba Benai Ephraim of the tribe of Joseph. I love you all with the love of the Messiah. Peace. I speak love. I speak blessings. I speak empowerment. I speak motivation. I speak the will of the Most High Yah. I speak an unwavering spirit in every Israelite king and queen, that we will not be deterred. We will not be stopped. World without end. Let's go. So I love you all with the love of the Messiah. Peace, love, and blessings. And be blessed in the Most High Yah, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai's name. Shalom. All praise to the Most High Yah. Let's get it.